As the first meeting of the new board and commission year, we do need to appoint a temporary chair to start the meeting. And then from there, we need to do elections for board members. So if we could have a nomination for a temporary chair to start the meeting.
I'll nominate Carol.
I'll second. Sorry, Carol.
Except she needs to unmute.
Hey, Carol. All right, Carol, I think you can unmute now if you haven't yet. Ooh, we can't hear you, Carol. You sound very far away from the microphone. Can anybody else hear Carol?
I can barely.
Yeah.
Not very well. Carol, I would say we still can't hear you.
Let's try to hear it now.
Very faintly.
Better. Yeah, better.
Not much though.
Let's see if I can get to a better spot. Is that over here? Not much. Maybe somebody better else them do the ceremony. Anu, are you there? Can I nominate Anu to act as the temporary chairperson? This is Ruth.
Sure. I'll second that.
All right, so a quick vote, if we can. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those not in favor say aye. Okay, so Anu, if you could be our temporary chair.
Okay.
I would ask for you to call the meeting to order and start the meeting then officially.
Okay. You might need to help me with the exact wording if I miss someplace. But this is Anupreet Minhas, or I go by Anu. I call the Wednesday, April 15th, 2020 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting to order.
Thank you. And I'm going to read a statement for the public about the meeting and about how we're going to operate the meeting tonight. That's all right. So at this meeting, we are, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, operating this as an electronic meeting. There is no in-person meeting or participation by the public. all public is asked to participate via Zoom, either through their webcam or through a procedure that is identified on the agenda. During the meeting, members of the public will be kept on mute. At the time the public hearing is open for comment, I will acknowledge those people that wish to speak, and we will bring them in one at a time to be able to speak to the commission. At the end of their comments, we will put them back on mute and move to the next person. We will ask when we unmute you, and if you want to speak for comments, that you do identify your name and location, just as you would if you were at the meeting itself in City Hall. So with that, we would move forward in the agenda. The second item on the agenda is to introduce commission members. So if we could, for the public, introduce the names and make sure we have all present.
I can start. This is Anupreet Minhas.
Doug Regaller.
John Emery.
Mike Clayton, new member.
Ruth Holstrom?
Carol, we can hear you faint, so pay attention to the don't hear.
If I call it on the phone, will you unmute me?
Yes, if you call in, I can try that.
All right.
Did we get through all of the commission members tonight?
I think so.
Okay. So then the next order for business is to approve the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And you have the agenda in front of you, or do you want me to keep?
I do. Do you want me to run through it?
Fine if you want.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the March 18th, 2020 meeting. Do we have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the March 18th, 2020 meeting.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I will abstain since I was absent from the meeting last time.
I'll also abstain.
And Mike Clayton, I will abstain since I wasn't on the commission yet at that point.
The next item on the agenda is the public forum. Do we have anyone who needs to speak at the public forum?
So if you are a member of the public and want to speak on an item for the public forum, please use the raise hand function. Carol, did you end up calling in?
I am. I do. Can you hear me?
I can see, well, I haven't moved you into that yet. Are you starting with a 480 phone number?
The 313. Oh, yes, I'm calling from the 480.
Okay, I'll move you over then.
All right, thank you.
Seeing that we have no one from the public to talk at this time, moving on to the next agenda item, which is the election of officers. Kelly, do you want to run us through this?
Yeah, so under the bylaws, we have a vacancy for chair because Matt has termed out. And then we also need to elect a vice chair. I believe by practice, we've elected the chair first and then a vice chair second. So if there are any nominations for chair, that's what we're looking for now.
There, I'm back. How far did you get, Kelly?
Just saying we need a nomination for chair, and then secondly, we'll have nominations for vice chair.
I'll take I'll take the chair if nobody else wants it.
You need to nominate.
Do we have any other nominations for the position of the chair?
I guess I would nominate Carol Spencer if she wants it, but otherwise, oh, this is Ruth.
I'd be pleased.
Carol,
Okay.
I'm gonna mute your computer mic now and just have your phone on. Okay, Carol, you want?
Am I mute? Yes, I'm accepting the nomination.
Do we go one by one and vote in favor and against? Is that what you want us to do, Kelly?
So we have one nomination at this point. Are there any other nominations?
Can we nominate ourselves or not?
Parliamentary procedure expert, but I'm not sure about that.
Okay, then I'll let Carol have it.
Okay, so I don't think we do roll call. I think it would just be just call for the vote.
Okay. Everyone in favor of Carol Spencer to be the chairperson of the Planning Commission, please vote by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? So I guess Carol Spencer has been elected as the chairperson
Thank you.
for the Planning and Zoning Commission.
And then we would normally turn it over to you, Carol, to run the meeting at this point.
You want me to do it now?
Let's do that.
All right. This is Carol. Can you hear me?
It's better. So we'll try it like this.
Okay. Now we need to welcome nominations for the position of vice chair.
I'll nominate John.
I'll
Do we have
second.
any other nominations? Okay. Do we have any other nominations? With that, I close the nominations. All in favor for John as our vice chair, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Congratulations, John.
First election I've been unopposed.
Okay. Our next agenda item is the annual review of bylaws. You should have received those in your packet. Have you all had an opportunity to review those? And if so,
Yeah,
are there
I
any
just have
questions or comments?
This is Ruth. I just have a couple of questions. One is the fourth page, the standing rules. It says the bylaws shall be reviewed annually in May. Are we reviewing them in April? Just because we don't anticipate having a meeting in May, or I guess, Kelly, can you just provide some insight into that?
I would say we just put it on the agenda, not knowing what the status would be going forward for meetings. There wasn't any real special intention behind it. If there is a request to do an amendment, you do have to do that the next meeting. But tonight was really to receive them and review them. And then if you were to want to change anything, that would be at a future meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, it just says review of the bylaws, not a.
Ruth, you said you had another question too.
Yeah, page 3, section, I guess it's the first paragraph under order of business. It says, said agenda shall be delivered to the commission at least 5 days prior to the meeting, does that just mean mailed to the committee, Kelly? Or does it mean it's supposed to arrive 5 days before the meeting?
Well, in the past, we only mailed it. I think it was much more frequent that you actually received them on Saturday, which would be 5 days before the meeting. I don't know. I think based on comments, you guys may not be getting that on Saturday any longer.
I know I never have.
Mine generally come on Monday.
Yeah, mine is typically Monday too.
We do send out the email alerting you to the agenda on Friday, but you don't receive your paper packet.
Okay, I just wanted to ask those two questions, just in terms of if any changes need to be made, or if staff is, like I said, if staff feels that as is okay.
Well,
I don't probably have a way to guarantee the packet 5 days using staff to deliver them by hand across the city.
They are posted in the city on Friday. Is that correct?
Yeah, everything is posted online by 5 o'clock, both the agenda and the packet materials.
Okay.
but if we change the section, that section can be delivered by mail or electronically, and then it'd be covered in the.
You could, if you want to make I think you make a motion to propose that change and you put it on.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, is if there was interest in changing that item just so that it coalesced with what's occurring.
Simply change you could change the word delivered to available, making someone go on the city website too.
Right, but
Did we lose John?
I think we did.
Uh-oh.
Go on the panelist list.
I had a question.
Okay, go ahead.
A quick one on procedural question. Do you want us to raise our hands when we want to provide some input, or do you want us to just jump in and take it from there? That's one.
It's a good question for the group. Do you see how a new currently has their hand raised on the list?
Unfortunately, I cannot see you right now. I'm on telephone because I can't get my microphone to work on my iPad.
Oh, this is Mike. I did see hand raised earlier, but I don't see it now.
yeah, I don't see the option anymore.
Okay. It's under more in the lower right hand corner. You touch the more button, then it comes up.
I don't even have the more button. I have leave meeting.
Oh,
That's just a procedural question. I think we can sort that out. If we are going to have more meetings, Carol, I'll let you decide if that is a process you want to follow. My question regarding the bylaws was, do the bylaws need to address the digital or online meetings that we're having now? Is that somehow need to be written in?
At this point, they've been superseded by the governor and the city's action. If you want to acknowledge that this may happen from time to time, we could add it in for a non-COVID emergency.
I guess that's kind of how we're doing it in Des Moines too right now. It's just been based on the mayor's declaration of emergency. That's kind of superseding it for now, but I think there's been talk about maybe amending the bylaws there at some point if needed. So I just wasn't sure if that is something that we need to do, or if it's so long as it's, I guess, if it's governed by the mayor's declaration or the governor's, then
If I look at Article 5, which is how the meetings are supposed to be operated, Section 7 says compliance with the meeting laws. And by doing this, we are compliant with the open meeting laws because of the governor.
Okay.
Because of the on open meetings.
Can we go back to the first question? Do we need a motion to amend the language dealing with electronically or by mail to the agenda delivery? What's the pleasure of the group?
We should change it, I think, to electronically or by mail.
John, do you want to make a motion to that effect?
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to amend Section 1. The said agenda shall be delivered by mail or electronically to the commission at least 5 days prior to the meeting.
Do we have a second for that?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Pardon me?
Oh, Carol, I just wanted to add that that's for Article 7.
Yes, it's Article 7, Section 1.
Yes, Article 7, Section 1.
So I don't know that it needs a second. I think as long as we all understand that request, we will then put it in writing for your review and approval at the next meeting. Is there any?
Okay,
Sounds good.
okay.
I'm just looking at.
Sounds right.
Okay, so we will
Are
prepare
there any other?
and submit that for the board's approval.
Thank you, Kelly. Are there any other questions or concerns regarding the bylaws from the commissioners?
We need to vote on the motion.
No, Kelly says he's going to bring it back next meeting for us.
Oh, okay,
to,
okay.
Okay.
Okay, he cut out on me.
I think it's.
Okay. Hearing no others, I would say let's go on to the next agenda item, number 8, which is the review of the preliminary plat for 321 State Avenue. Kelly, would you give us an overview on that?
I'm going to hand that off to Warren. He is going to walk through the exhibits that were in the staff report with you and explain the project. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, thanks. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep. Sounds good.
Okay. All right. I'll go ahead and share my screen with you here. Should be coming up here in just a moment. And we can walk through the preliminary plat. So I'm Justin Moore. I'm the planner for the plat for Baker's subdivision. This subdivision is proposed on land that is owned by the city of Ames currently. For the last couple of years, the city has been working through different concepts and different options for the land. And here late last year, the direction was given by city council for staff to move forward with the development. This is a mixed income development. And it has a minimum of 51% of the homes as affordable to low and moderate income households. And so the city will be the developer for this subdivision. The preliminary plat that you can see there in front of you consists of 27 lots. 26 of those are for single family homes that you see here along Wilmeth, and then also looped around Latimer Lane in the northern half of the subdivision. Lot 27 is reserved at this time for future multifamily development. The multifamily concept will be fleshed out more this summer by City Council once the lots are all platted here for the subdivision. The current zoning for the site is RL, which is our low density single family zoning. So at this time it is compatible for the single family homes. The multifamily development, the future multifamily development, will require at least a portion or that portion of the subdivision being rezoned, which will come before you at a later date. So as I walk through things here, I'll just describe to you real quickly the street layout for the subdivision. As you can see here, Tripp Street, which goes from east to west, from South Wilmeth over here on the west to State Street, or State Avenue rather, on the east. Tripp Street is constructed. It was built last year. So the only public street that'll need to be constructed with the subdivision will be Latimer Lane, and that will be this loop street here to the north of Tripp, which will feature 13 of the single family homes around it. In between Latimer Lane will be it's shown as an outlot right now. It is planned to be a pocket park, which will be owned and maintained by the city, maintained by the Park and Recreation Department. The pocket park will have some amenities added to it, which will be revealed at a future date. The remaining lots are along the west, along South Wilmeth Avenue, and they do follow the pattern and the design generally of the single family homes that are already existing there on the west side of South Wilmeth Avenue. The just go forward here quick to the utility layout and talk about that briefly. So the stormwater is proposed down in Outlot Z, stormwater detention, and the stormwater will flow from the western portion and northern portion of the subdivision southeast. It will be detained here in Outlot Z. There is also a small portion, very small portion of 100-year floodplain along the south edge of the site, and that is all contained within Outlot Z. So Outlot Z will release south and at the approved rate will release into College Creek. The site will have an abutting bike trail, which is proposed along the northern edge of the site, and that is shown there right next to the alleyway that is just off the site to the north. So the bike trail will connect out to the rest of the city network. This is part of a planned bike trail network that will go from the intermodal facility in Campus Town west to Dotson Drive out by West Hy-Vee. So it will connect a significant portion of this portion of the city for bicyclists and pedestrians. The final determination on specifically where along the property line the bike trail will be determined prior to City Council. Staff is finalizing some details with Public Works and the Electric Department on some details as far as placement, but it will run along in this area and will connect to the future network. The subdivision will also feature potentially a distributed geothermal heating and cooling system, and the final details on that are being worked out. Staff's finalizing some of the final cost and how the cost will impact the design and the construction of the subdivision. And we hope to have that resolved before we also go to City Council here at the end of the month. The process for this, we mentioned in our report, the public outreach that we did outreach in January and February. The January meeting involved kind of an open house forum with neighborhood residents invited to speak to staff. We had a few different stations set up, and then February, from that meeting and then a subsequent meeting that we had in February, we took 6 different concepts for subdivision layout to the city council, and city council ended up choosing this concept actually that you see here, pretty much exactly, that became the preliminary plat. So with that, that's a general overview of it. I can answer any questions that anyone might have at this time, specific to the project.
Hey, Justin, this is Ruth. I was curious, at the community meetings, were there any concerns raised at all about the proposed development?
We took a variety of input. Yeah, there were thoughts and concerns, obviously, with the development. The majority of the neighborhood concerns just centered around wanting to see, the design, or actually rather the neighborhood laid out in a way that was friendly to them, but also they did have some concerns just over what maybe the future multifamily might look like. And there's a variety of designs that we could go with there. It would not necessarily be apartment buildings. It could be, townhomes, bi-attached, that sort of thing. So that will get worked out with council this summer. But primary concerns were just making sure, again, that that it was an appropriate multifamily design, and also one that we heard was just obviously traffic concerns, making sure that traffic was managed appropriately.
Okay, so to piggyback on that, on the first page of the staff report, it says access to State Ave is restricted. Can you just expand on that? What does that mean?
So what specific part of the report are you looking at, just so I can
sorry, it's the first page, 3rd paragraph, 2nd sentence.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so access to State Avenue is restricted from all of the homes. So the homes all front on Latimer Lane and South Wilton Avenue.
Okay, no, that makes sense. I wasn't sure if they were planning. I didn't assume they were closing off the access to State Ave from Tripp Street, but I just wanted to clarify what that sentence meant. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions for staff?
I take it nobody can see my raised hand. Okay. I have a couple. You said it's going to be low and medium cost houses.
So yeah, the homes would be at least 51% of the homes have to be affordable to low to moderate income affordability. So it will be mixed income. There will be also some homes that are market rate priced.
What is low?
So low is a threshold that said it's based on income. So income qualification under federal guidelines. So the income of a household, depending on what it is, there are different classifications or different levels or tiers that a family can fall into or qualify for, rather, in programs such as this, different subsidies for those sorts of things. And in this case, the type of housing that's made available has to be affordable to those types of families.
So it isn't a cost cap, it's just a salary cap.
So John, so it might cost us, let's say, $200,000 to build a house. We will sell it to a qualified household based on whatever program parameters council adopts. A about what
Okay.
the minimum income level is that we want to be able to support. But then it'll be tailored to the level of income of a qualified candidate.
Okay, because yeah, for quite a while now, I've brought up in several meetings the affordability of the housing. So there is going to be a way for the lower income people to be able to afford these houses.
At least 51% will for sure be below 80% of median income.
Okay, and that is,
So it depends on household size. So larger families have larger income limits and smaller families have lower income limits.
okay, then another question I have, is there going to be a separation of the alley and the bike path?
So at this time, there is planned to be a small separation between the alley and the edge of the alley and the edge of the bike path. Right now, the plan is for that to be approximately 2.5 feet. However, the final design of that prior to council could change that potentially. But I don't see that separation getting smaller by
Okay.
any means. So
The question is there going to be a hard partition or separation?
so that in the final design details, that's what we'll work out, what
Okay.
exactly that's going to look like.
And then the last question I have is about,
Don, to be clear, right now, there will not be a wall between the alley and the bike path. There won't be a hard partition in that small space. Right now, there's some electric poles right on the edge of the alley. We're working through with electric and public works if there's alternative designs where we can integrate the bike path in the alley better with the electric poles in a different location.
okay,
If that doesn't happen, it will be a bike path that's parallel to the alley. There will not be a wall or some other kind of really hard.
I'm just worried about the encroachment of the traffic from the alley and onto the bike path.
Yeah, and yeah, I guess we would be concerned about that too, because the electric poles would be some of the things that people would be encountering if they were to do that.
Okay, then the other question is about the geothermal. Is the whole subdivision going to be on geothermal?
Yes, so the plan would be for the whole subdivision to be to access the geothermal for heating and cooling.
Access, or do they have to be on geothermal?
They would have to be.
Okay,
So that's something we're still exploring. The layout of the subdivision won't change if geothermal doesn't happen. That'll be up to Ames Electric to decide that fits their utility interests, and their board votes to support something like that, and city council also wants to pursue that as a utility function. So if it isn't geothermal, the layout of the lots and the open space will be no different. It's just something that we can add in if it works.
understand that, okay.
This is Mike Clayton. I've just got a couple of real quick comments. First one is in regards to the bike trail also. There are power poles along there now. And I'm sure this is the discussion you're having with Ames Electric, is to make sure that there is a shy distance from between the trail and the poles also, besides the alleyway. So we're not setting ourselves up for some litigation at a later point if somebody were to run their bike into a pole. My second comment is as far as lot 27. I assume then the access to that lot, whether it be multifamily or maybe townhouses, lends itself to like an extension of the west junction of Latimer Lane and Tripp to the south.
Yes, it does.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Other questions or comments?
I guess I just have one thing additional. You talked about possible amenities for Outlot Y associated with a pocket park. Was there any discussion about the possibility of doing like I guess a community garden space there or something of that nature? Obviously, details sound like they're still being worked out.
Yeah, so the final details of the amenities, will be finalized with the Parks and Recreation Department. that concept, no, nothing like that has come up at this point. So that would be something that Parks and Rec would have to work through if that were suggested or brought forth.
And the Parks and Rec Board has input on what goes into parks. It's not just a staff-driven process for how parks are programmed.
Okay, thank you. So,
Kelly,
sorry.
do we have? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Carol. So if, say if residents were curious about trying to see that amenity included, would they then need to bring comments to like the Parks and Recreation Commission? Would that be the right route, I guess? Or
Well, I mean, I would have to defer to Parks and Rec on exactly what outreach steps they would take in programming it. It might not be something that has budget to be completed for a while. We're planning for the space to be set up for it, but we're not saying that next year there's a functioning pocket park here.
right. I'm just wondering if residents wanted to provide input, but yeah, if it's still pretty far out, then that's understandable.
I think if they contacted us, we'd put them in touch with the Parks and Rec director so that he can explain what steps they would go through in the future to program it.
Okay, thanks, Kelly.
Yep. Is my audio?
Kelly, pardon me?
Is my audio clear now?
Better.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Much better.
Okay. So I have
you-
two attendees that appear to be from the public. If
That's just what I was going to ask.
Yeah, so if the call-in individual or the other person that's signed in to watch the webcast would raise their hand, I would know they wanted to participate and comment. If you're on the phone, you can press *9 to do a raise hand function. And if you are attending through the webcast, you should see a button to say raise my hand. And because it's the first time we've ever done it, I am going to take a risk here because I do not have a hand raised. I am going to unmute each of those individuals to see if they did want to participate or not. Okay, so I am going to unmute the call-in individual to see if they have a comment on the project. So if you have called into this meeting and you have a comment, do you have an interest in speaking on this item as a call-in participant? Okay, I am not hearing a response there. So we do have one other web participant. I'm going to unmute you and ask if you would like to talk.
No, I think we're fine.
Okay. Thank you. So I see no other participants on the attendees side that are not city staff. So I would say you can open and close the public hearing at this point.
That's you, Carol.
Oop, I might have muted.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I would open the floor to a motion on a recommendation of this action on preliminary plat 321 State Avenue.
I'll go ahead and make a motion and move alternative one, and that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend that the City Council approve the preliminary plat for Baker subdivision as complying with city zoning and subdivision standards.
This is
John
Ruth.
Emery. Second.
We have a motion and a second to move forward with recommendation 1 to the City Council. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. And this issue passes. Then all we have left is commission comments. Would we start with those, please?
I guess I can. One thing on our bylaws, it says yay or nay. For
Oh, excuse me. I'll do it better next time.
I know I can't remember his name now. He used to always do just exactly what you do.
It's habit.
It's
My comment, I want to welcome Mike. I'm sorry that we can't see you face to face this meeting, but look forward to getting to know you and working with you on the commission.
I'm glad to be here. Just a little background. I retired from Iowa DOT 2 years ago. I was with the department just shy of 40 years. So I have a planned background. My degree at Iowa State many years ago was community and regional planning and a double major with economics. So I think this is going to be a very interesting commission to be working with.
Well, that's excellent. You will be a great addition to our group. We look forward to working with you.
Agreed.
Other commission comments?
well, Kelly, I have a question for you.
Go for it.
Yeah, do we need to change anything in the bylaws about the big problem we had with ties?
I wouldn't recommend that. I mean, there's certain other codes that require the majority vote. It's also part of the bylaws, but I guess I wouldn't recommend changing that. I guess if you have a proposal, because that one's probably a little more complicated than what we talked about, I would say write it out and it could be looked at the next meeting if the commission wants to do that.
I don't have anything in any proposal or anything. I just wanted to know if we should come up with something covered, because like we said, we had a difficulty in that tie.
Right. I mean, and what John's referring to, especially when you have an even number, if there's no majority, then the action doesn't move forward. And again, some actions do require an affirmative vote. So I'm not really prepared tonight to suggest anything else other than how we have always done it.
We also have the memorandum from giving us direction from when we did have that issue last time.
Right.
Okay. Any other staff comments?
I have none for night. Thank you very much for participating and doing work.
Hello?
I can hear you.
Kelly, are you there?
No, I said I don't have any comments tonight. Thank you.
Okay, you kind of tapered off. I wasn't sure. In that case, let's adjourn the meeting, and I appreciate everybody. Kelly, I'm going to get a hold of you later this week and see if I can figure out this voice issue with my technology so that I don't have to use the telephone next time.
Carol.
Okay, we'll talk.
Carol.
All right. Yes.
Okay, what I'm using is a headset with a mic. That might be an idea for you.
Well, mine worked 2 days ago on a different piece of software, so I think we'll try it again.
Okay.
But thank you all. Good night.
Yeah, this is Mike. Mike, if you don't have a mic for your computer like I don't, they're very hard to find. In fact, if you go to like the Best Buy site, it says none within 250 miles. And that's because so many people are working at home now, and they got to them before we did.
Well, I used Zoom on my iPad with 20 people last week and had no problem. So I don't know what the trouble is tonight. So I'll try it again. But thank you all. Have a good evening.
Good
night. Good night, everyone.
Right.